Oh, the
Yeah,
background.
and then
Okay.
you didn't use it.
Oh, I didn't know that I need to use that because
Okay, that's
you
okay.
didn't. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm very on cloud nine to have a meeting with you today, even virtually by now. Thank you again for your willingness, sir, to be speaker in my simple space at Nerdscape. I'm beyond proud to meet you as a former Israeli rescue pilot, and this moment is like an honor for me to talk and sharing anything with you today. Yes, pardon me,
Thank you.
sir. Before we go to the first question, I want to ask your permit to record our interview so all my friends at Escape could access it whenever and wherever they are. And so the people worldwide can grab the same great lesson as me. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Yonatan, the first question, have you ever felt or thought if you find your loopholes earlier, went out earlier from your job as a rescue pilot, you will do this, you will do that, you will do many things as you do and you planned recently earlier, have you?
No, when I was younger, I never thought that this will be my life course. I was growing up very naive boy, thinking about different things I want to do in my life. But if you would meet me like 40 years ago as a 9-year-old boy, I would never guess that that will be something I do, like struggle against what my own country, my own military is doing. Never.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't ever think you will in that positions, what exactly you will do if you do not find at that time how you can to be
what would I be today had I not been an activist and getting involved in these things?
Yes, exactly.
I probably would have been kind of a mainstream guy who is living in life of many of my friends that are, in a way, what I see today, disconnected from reality, thinking about themselves in a way that is not matching with the real things on the ground. Maybe I would have been a musician and artist that is just like doing his art and music, but without real connection to the real problems around, you know, like many people who are trying to do creative and interesting things, but they don't touch the hardcore of issues of life and death and justice and humanism and equality. So yeah, hard to know. It's an interesting question.
So could you please tell us or explain briefly how can you find your loopholes?
When you say loopholes, what do you mean?
You were in a cycle of army, right? Before you met the open letter with your 27 rescue pilot, and then how can you arrive at that situation? You
How did I get to that situation, to that thing of making the decision to
Yes.
make this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First, it was 27 pilots from all the different squadrons in the Air Force. So not only rescue, we had the fighter pilots and helicopters and jets and transports and rescue pilots like me, but it was from different backgrounds. How did I get there? It's a very long answer. I can talk about a long time, but if I need to just give a short answer, it's probably a process of opening my eyes to see the reality on the ground, not just to see the reality as I was taught and what I was told, but to see things that happen on the ground, to meet people that are not necessarily from my ethnic background, from my social immediate group, but to meet people that are actually another religion, another Palestinians, not Israelis, Muslims or Christians, and to, I think I went through a psychological process of connecting things. Many times I think we are understanding different things in the reality, but we still don't make the connection from one understanding to the other. A child can grow up in Indonesia, for example, and learn good things, how to become a good person, and things about his country and stuff like that. And later on, the same child can realize that, just like in the case of the Israeli military, the military is involved in horrible things and doing very, very unjust things to millions of people. But still, we don't want to connect those two understandings.
Yes.
And many times we try to push aside and put ourselves aside of the story. And I think what I went through and some of my friends is to understand that in this contradiction situation, I am the one that is actually participating in something. It's easy to see that there are bad things happening and unjust things. The hard thing is to see yourself in these things. It's easy to be an Israeli child or Israeli grown-up and see that some people are poor and miserable and homeless. Yeah. It's harder for us to say, oh, it's actually my father who is doing wrong things to them, or it's actually me when I am serving in this military or in this police who is actually connected to the wrong things. We try to put these barriers in our mind and resist these conclusions. And what happened to me and to many other people in the history of countries and militaries and polices, that I saw myself and I could understand that I am responsible to some of the bad things that I do not agree with, even if I didn't do anything myself, like directly shooting or killing. I could see how my role in the big system contribute to something that I'm against. So I think it happened all the time in different places in the world. I'm just another case of that. So it could happen if now someone listened to us and there are students in Indonesia and they read some stuff about the history and about the current situation in your country, And they realized that maybe I, or maybe my uncle or my relative were there when these bad things were happening, and to start to understand that we are involved, this is the main step to go through. After that, when you understand that you are a stakeholder, you are part of something, then the rest of the process is natural. But the hard thing is to realize your place in the big scheme of wrongdoing.
Okay. So, excuse me, may I ask you, at that year when you met an open letter with your friends, the pilot, you met it, you resigned by yourself, you all, or you just fired by
No.
the company?
No, we were all reservists in the Air Force. So it means that you are serving 1 or 2 days a week in the Air Force, and the rest you're doing your private life. We didn't resign, we just declared that we will refuse our orders. So we basically declared that I will continue to serve, but I will stop obeying your orders to participate in oppression and in controlling millions of people.
Yes.
So in a way you can say it was resignation, because it's quite obvious that the military will do something against you, but the actual declaration was that we are going to refuse your orders. And in a military organization, in police organization, the structure works on hierarchy. And you have commander above commander above commander, and on the bottom you have the people who commit the operations, who take actions. And if you stop obeying orders, the whole system can collapse. So that's basically what we did. We pulled the rag from under the system in a symbolic action. 27 pilots in the Israeli Air Force is nothing compared to the size of the Air Force. But symbolically, it says, maybe we are not the majority, but we are raising a flag, a black flag, saying that something very bad is happening here, and we are willing to take the chances of being punished and the risk of losing our jobs and etc. By refusing your orders. We know that the system in the military, the only way for it to continue is if soldiers will obey orders, and we are going to refuse. And in a way, I think this is the most important thing a soldier can do.
Yes.
We were raised always to believe that soldiers should be heroes and fight until the last blood drop that they have, and obey everything. But militaries in general are committing war crimes in various places in the world. Very few militaries are pure and good. Most military organizations and police organizations, one way or another, are abusing the power that they have. It's mostly men, it's mostly aggressive, it's mostly unjust, and we were basically saying a soldier is good. A good soldier is a soldier that's saying, no, I will not obey your orders.
So at that time, how is your family response, or your relative, your friends in the army itself? And then how can you deem as by media as a pilot that bombed civilians? instead, you are a rescue pilot that helps civilians both countries, right?
Well, the first part of the question about the reaction of my family, I was very lucky to have a supportive family. Not everyone agreed with me in my family, but they still didn't think that I did it from wrong and bad intentions. So most of them supported me, and even some that did not believe my good intentions, which is very important for one to do something and still have emotional support from people around. I was doing rescue missions and flying commando and soldiers and stuff. Most of it was to rescue Israeli citizens, Israeli soldiers, and it's true that some couple of events I did also rescue Palestinians, but it was just more like a coincidence or something like that. It was not the majority of the thing that a pilot or rescue pilot does in the Israeli Air Force, and you are a tool in the hand of the big machine of, in my case, the Israeli military, the Israeli occupation. So one way or another, you are, even if not directly, you are engaging in the oppression. If I fly a group of soldiers somewhere, I also have responsibility of what these soldiers did, even if I didn't do it myself. So if that's what you meant in your question, in my view, a pilot that dropped a bomb above on a house, and a pilot that just fly high in the sky and help the communication between that pilot to the headquarters, both of them are participating in a war crime. You don't have to be the specific one that dropped the bomb. You can be something in the system. You can be the one that connected it to the wing. You can be
connected each other.
The secretary that passed the letter from the commander to the soldier. You can be the one who sits thousands and thousands of kilometers away and build that bomb. Everyone, in a way, are responsible.
Yes, that's true. Pardon me. I often got info, and your posts on Facebook say that you disagree, or you are not in the agreement of the Norway government who ordering the controversial drones of Israel. How long you have been living in Norway? Because you are origins Israeli, right? What the thing that make you decide to leave and to live in Norway, and why you just concerned to Norway only? Is it because Norway is your place, your residence right now, or there is anything else reason behind it?
Yeah, life situation brought me here. My partner is Norwegian, and she is originally from Norway, and we have a daughter. We lived in Israel until some years ago, and then we moved here. So we go back and forth, and then now we are here. So because of family situation, yeah, I think that once I am in a place, and in this case it's Norway, I feel that I need to be involved in what happens in the place I am in. And in this case, because I'm here, I feel that this is part of my obligation, because Norway is a very rich country, maybe one of the richest of the countries in the world, and they have a very nice image of peaceful country. Lots of Norwegian volunteers go to many places around the world and help in different humanitarian projects. There is the Nobel Peace Prize that is being given here to people that they choose to give a prize. But in a matter of fact, it's a very hypocritical system. That one hand is giving peace prize and doing some humanitarian aid, while the other hand is producing a lot of weapons, not just to Israel, but to the United States, which is one of the countries that are mostly responsible for violation of human rights. Countries like Indonesia, of yours, like Norway is per capita, per person, is very much high in the list of weapon manufacturing in the world. Although it's a relatively small country, if you take the sum of income for the weapon export and divide it by the number of residents of Norway, it's one of the highest, if not the highest. So I feel responsible. I feel that I have an obligation to call on these hypocritical elements and try to change it. And in general, I believe that the way to help positive changes in the world today, when we don't have much physical power like military power or economic power, I don't have those. The way is by changing public opinion. So if I can change the public opinion of Norwegian citizens to understand that their country is engaged in a lot of wars around the world with Norwegian weapon, with Norwegian technology, I want to bring this up to the attention of people. The same way, I feel obliged to talk to the people that listen to me, whoever will go and listen to us, to this conversation. I want them to know that you can influence situations like that. I don't know if people know that Israeli technology is now used by the Indonesian police and military to find activists and people who are trying to bring justice and trying to help different ethnic groups and different communities. They are using Israeli technology that help monitor and spy on people, and in some cases torture and killing. So this thing should be known, and I want people in Norway and in Israel and in Palestine and in Indonesia and in Australia, and I want people to know what their countries are involved in. Because I'll tell you what I told my daughter today. She saw a sticker, and the sticker said "Boycott Israel." She's just 7, so she doesn't know exactly all the political situation and stuff. I tell her a little bit here and there. But she knows that soon we're going to visit her grandparents in Israel and Palestine. And she was asking, so what it is? She wanted to know, is it... and I said, well, it's what people who live here are doing in order to put pressure on the Israeli military that is doing very bad things now to stop it. So this is one of the ways to put stickers like that in the street, and in a way, it's the same message I have to people in Indonesia, to know that one way or another, you are connected to very bad things happening far away from your country and in your country. And in a way, if say the Israeli government and the Indonesian government are working together with weapon deals, and who knows, me and you, we should also work together.
Yeah.
Those who care about justice, those who care about equality, those who care about basic human rights for everyone, they should also cooperate together.
Mm-hmm. So, Yonatan, mostly on Facebook, including your speech, corporate, and social media. I tried to mapping some people there. I find there are three groups of people around us. They told this unjust war, as a thing that we must be neutral because both countries, both sides, Israel and Palestine, are suffering the civilians. And then they told that this is about the religion war between Jewish and Muslim. What's your thought? What's your response? As you are a rescue pilot, and then you are a Jewish, you are Israeli origins. What your thought towards this kind of people?
First of all, Palestine is not a country. Palestine is an occupied land.
Oh, do you think?
Israel is a state with a big military, with lots of resources, with Air Force, Army, Navy, huge resources. And Palestine is basically small enclaves of oppressed people who live on their historic land that is being taken from them day after day, all the way starting from 1948, even before. So it's not a struggle between two countries. It's not a struggle between two armies. If you compare the military strength of groups like Hamas in Gaza and the Israeli military, it's not even comparable. It's like comparing a giant to a little speck of sand. It's just uncomparable. It's like comparing the prisoners and the prison guards in jail. So this is the first thing about your question. The other thing about Jews and Muslims, again, it's true that the ruling ethnic group in Israel is Jewish, but it's a specific brand of Jews, which is Zionist Jews that believe that they have the legitimacy of being supreme, being higher class, being the rulers in that land between the Jordan River and the sea, while there are many other Jews around the world who are not Zionists. There are Jews all around the world that Judaism for them is like Muslims, whether you can be a Muslim in Indonesia, you can be a Muslim in New Zealand, and you can be a Muslim in India, you can be a Muslim in Palestine. Same as Christianity and other religions. So there are many Jews who are not Zionists. But what Israel does, the official Israel, is trying to claim that they speak for the rest of the Jews. And this is very dangerous, because anyone who happened to be Jew now can suffer the consequences of the anger toward Israel and toward the action of the state of Israel, even if they are not connected to the Israeli military, to Israel, they live somewhere else. And this is dangerous. So I'm trying to put this clear definition between Zionism and the Israeli state and Jews.
So, but I stumbled at your first statement that said Palestine is not kind of state. But you said then that Al-Nakba, we know that Palestinian civilians was expelled from their homeland, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't say that it didn't exist. I said that Israel is a state with a whole mechanism of control over land, with military, with system and everything. And Palestine was crushed by the Israeli forces in 1948. Hundreds of towns and villages were demolished and destroyed, and most of the population were expelled to exile, and what's left is oppressed people who are living in small areas here and there, and yes, it's true that you have the Palestinian Authority and you have some kind of the Hamas Authority in Gaza, but it's not as strong and nothing to be compared to. Yeah, it's not a state. It's
state, or is it? It is not.
It's an enclave. If Gaza is a ghetto, Gaza is a prison. Gaza is not a country. The Zionist propaganda and the Israeli government propaganda wants us to think that wants people around the world to think that it's a war between two parties, between two sides, but it's not a war between two sides. When you have a child that is being abused by a grown-up, you don't say that it's a war, it's a conflict between two sides. There is someone big and strong that is hitting someone small and weak. So even if the Palestinians have some military ability that is very, very small compared to Israel, it shouldn't be perceived as a war between two countries. That's what I meant.
Okay. So you still agree that Palestine is a legal country, right? The situation right now is just about Israel that demolished the.
Yeah, Palestine is the historic place in the Middle East that was for many years under control of the Ottoman Empire and later on the British Mandate, and from 1948 controlled by Israel.
Okay.
So that, like historically, that's Israel control everything there. It's not. It's very dangerous or problematic to think that there is a state of Palestine that is independent or something like that. Even Gaza, where the Hamas is in control and there are no settlements inside, it's totally controlled day and night from the air, from the ground, and from the sea. And anything that goes inside and get outside go through the checkpoints and the authorities of the Israeli military. So you can't really describe it as a country. It's more like a stolen country. It's a broken country. It's a prison.
So if you must choose between the two decision or the two kind of countries, when the first we have to live together between Jewish and the Palestinian or Muslims and then Christian, or we just need precisely one state solution or two state solution.
I am from the group of Israelis and Palestinians and other people around the world that believe that dividing this area to two states create continuation of the oppression and of the injustice. And in order to have real peace and security and justice for all, in my opinion, again, it has to be eventually one state of equal rights, whatever your decision, your religion is, and as well the right of Palestinians, Palestinian refugees to return to their homeland after decades of being refugees. This is my own opinion, and many of the activists that I am associated with, both Palestinians and Israelis, are supporting that. But overall, it's still a minority opinion. So even if you go to the Israeli lefty, whatever is left from the Israeli left, many of them will not agree with me, and they will talk about two states side by side. I just don't think it's anymore possible. Maybe in the past it was still possible in some way, but I don't think it's possible. The things and the facts on the ground that were created by years of colonization and deportation and destruction brought us to I think we have to live together. I think that's the only viable thing.
So, sir, do you believe that Israeli army would not be changed in this period of time? You still deem that as the kind of army or military that will always make their violence keep lasting?
Do you mean if I think that there is a chance that the military will change its ways?
Yes, to change its way to be better military and not affect any kind of violence.
Honestly, I think that now it's so deeply corrupt with murderous and oppressive behavior and actions and history that I think it will only happen with intervention, external intervention. My wish is that huge pressure from outside of Israel,
like BDS movement, right?
Will BDS movement, yeah, but eventually I hope it will translate itself to political action and actual intervention by different powers around the world that will force the Israeli government to change things from top to bottom. It has to be totally changed. It's not just like a few rules here and there and little tweakle. It's in a way, I think it could be also true about your military and your police. I think the corruption and the crimes that are happening by these commanders and the officers are so severe that I think it will have to be a total change from the bottom to top.
Okay. Talking about the BDS movement in Norway, do you think the progress has been seen by some policies that has been changed there in the government level, or what kind exactly the BDS movement program itself has been influenced the circumstance and the world politics or the government itself?
The BDS movement is growing all the time, and every time Israel is bombing and killing more civilians, people around the world are waking up and joining the BDS movement. So it's rapidly growing, and that's something that gives me hope in this very sad situation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's just a movement. It's just a movement. We don't have much power other than the power of convincing each other and making more and more people join us. But things will change on the ground only when the movement will be as strong as, for example, when the movement against the apartheid in South Africa started to translate itself to the political level. Countries, for example, like the US, that is always involved in mass killing and genocides around the world, but they joined the pressure on the South African apartheid government only after the movement grew to such level that a lot of pressure started to come from inside the US, from the Black community, from different groups, to force eventually the US government to start putting real pressure on South Africa and not to collaborate with them, which is what they did most of the years. So my hope is that the movement will grow to such a big, to such a size that governments will not be able to continue to ignore what we are saying, and it will translate itself to real concrete things on the ground, because right now it's just many campaigns, but we don't see yet the fruits of that.
Okay. So Yonatan, I also ever watched you sing a song in one of YouTube channel. The title of the song is Kumu Kumu. You said also there that this is one of your favorite song, one part of your best album ever. So, do you have any favorite song?
I only recorded one album. I am hoping to start this year to work on my second album. So I still released only one album 4 years ago.
And then this year
the song name is
Numu-numu
is actually like a lullaby, but with a twist. Yeah.
So this one album contained one song.
No, it's 11 songs in the album.
11 songs.
It's yeah.
And only one song, Kumu Kumu, that tell about your optimism in this war, or any other song?
Well, first the name of the song is Numu-numu.
Numu-numu.
And in Hebrew, it means go to sleep or sleep tight, like the father or the mother sing to the child. And I change it at the end to Kumu Kumu, which means in Hebrew, rise up. It's almost like calling the dead children to wake up, calling the murderers to wake up and understand that they should stop murdering, calling the audience and the people who listen to take action and stop being complicit and become active. So it's kind of a lullaby that is actually the opposite. I want people that listen to this lullaby to wake up and to join the movement, basically.
Yes.
But in the album, I put different songs that are connected to this story that I am talking to you about. Some of them are directly connected to this struggle and to this decision that I made and activism, but some of them are less and are more general about my life or about love and dreams and things like that.
So in your album, there is only one song that tell that tell the audience about this unjust war, your optimism in this war?
No, actually not. No, there are other songs as well.
What's the title?
I think half of the album.
Oh, there's
half
so
of the
many.
songs, yeah, are actually in one way or another connected. For example, one of the songs that is called the Harik is in Arabic. It's fire or burning. It's a song that I didn't write the original song. It's a Jewish Yiddish song, like it was written by a Polish Jew before the Holocaust, before the Second World War, where the genocide of lots of people, including about 6 million Jews, happened, and by the Nazis, by Nazi Germany. And the song was a very famous song in the ghettos where Jews were locked and killed. And I decided to translate this song to Arabic and sing it in a way about Gaza, about the towns that are being bombarded and burnt and people that are being killed. And it's mostly talking about the indifference of people around that can see the smoke coming, but they will still stand still and not do anything about it. So in a way, it's another song that is basically calling for action. I just took an old Jewish Yiddish song, and in the middle I switched to Arabic, and then there is another part with the choir that with another some variation that I wrote. So most of the album is connected to all these things.
So this Harik song is to call all people, all kind of people, not Jewish only, right?
Yeah, it's basically saying, do you know a little bit of Arabic?
Not just one.
It's Harik ya Ikhwan Harik. It's like fire, it's burning, brothers, it's burning. And it's like, please help us stop the fire. Please help us stop these killings. Please help us.
You would like to sing that song? Just a little bit, just some paragraph, maybe some sentences?
You can find it's number 5 in the album, so you can put it there.
I don't have your album actually.
It's on free for everyone on YouTube and on Spotify and all this. So yeah, you can put the link of it, but basically it's a cry or a shout for people to help stop the fire, and one way or another, that's what I do. I'm shouting to people to help stop the fire, and the fire is not only in Palestine and in Israel. The fire is all over the world, and injustice and ethnic cleansing, and genocide, and acts of war crimes and rape and humiliation and oppression, as we speak, happen in many places around the world. And my wish is that people will wake up to see where they are responsible, directly or indirectly, to some of these crimes and help stop it.
Yes.
Israel and Palestine is one more place where horrific things are happening, but it happens in many other places, including in your country and including anywhere in between. And in many of these places, those who are responsible are actually the governments and the states and the official organizations that call themselves police and military. But just like I realized that the military that I was serving in is committing acts of terrorism, and I'm basically part of a terrorist organization, I hope that many other soldiers and people in general will realize that their own military many times is the one committing the terror and the crimes. It's easy for governments to always point on those small groups as the source of evil, but if we look carefully, we'll see that most of the death and the destruction and the suffering in this world is committed by official armies, governments that claim that they are good and pure and serving the better of the greatest good. So that's my personal wish, and that's probably why I write and I sing these songs and I talk these talks and I give these interviews.
So besides you are an activist, a famous activist in BDS movement, you are also a renowned singer, and you also a student currently.
Well, I don't know how renowned singer, but I hope people hear my songs and feel connected.
Yeah.
I've been studying lately to get my license so I can fly also in where I live. So that's what was keeping me busy the last months, all these studies.
This is really many thanks to you, Sir Yonatan. Once again, my millions thanks. I'm very glad to have a short interview, or we can call here conversation, simple conversation together today. And likewise, I wish you good health, joy, and then resilience, and may your day always fulfilled by peace, good health, and many other happiness. So to be honest, I will remember this moment when we both having this short conversation, or yes, long conversation, guide. Thank you, Gaines. I will remember it as my best chapter in my life, my best memories. And I hope someday we could meet in the real situation,
hopefully,
not really virtual. Maybe you can visit Indonesia, or I will
really
go
hope
there.
So, and good luck with your projects, with your studies.
Thank you.
With your pursuit of justice and humanity, and basically, let's hope that many people will move towards the side of the solution and not the side of the problem. And each one of us will find those sides where we are part of the problem and try to change and to be part of the solution. And basically, I think to try to make people equal, or to give people equal rights wherever they are, whatever their color, their religion, their gender, their sexual orientation, their ethnic group, their flag, their taste. Everyone should deserve basic and equal human rights. So that's at least what I think could bring the world to a better place if we try to strive for this thing. So good luck with everything you do, and be careful.
I mean,
also,
you too, sir.
And be healthy.